The Senate just voted on whether to confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court. Putin's raid on Ukraine rages on, with Joe Biden fanning the flames, and Kamala Harris, the greatest dolt of all time, has moved to end Title 42, signaling an impending stampede on our border. With all of these government-altering events, you'd think that the media was actually trying to cover something important, but you'd be wrong. Instead, the media continues to focus on praising the three most hypocritical award show MCs in the world, indoctrinating small children via Disney Junior, and Will Smith playing Whack-A-Chris at the Oscars. Newsflash, gender theory doesn't matter if our country doesn't exist tomorrow. Why is the media refusing to cover important issues? You're watching Politics Corner. Stay tuned.
Hi folks, welcome to Politics Corner. Hi Ishaan.
Hey there, Pallavi.
So you actually have a lot for us to unpack today.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
so let's start.
Well, I think overall, if you'll notice with that intro, what we saw was a list of real things, real problems, government-altering events, as I said, and then a list of almost non-issues that are being pushed on the American people. And I really want to pose this question to Politics Corner today, and that is, why won't the media cover something important for once?
Gender theory, for one, is like a prime example of non-issues. And some of these other issues that we heard, the host of Oscars, get into, which we'll talk about later. But let's focus on gender theory for a minute. I mean, do you remember 10, 15, 20, even 5 years ago, was this as big an issue? I mean, the way the media portrays the gender, spectrum and the gender identity and putting kids on puberty blockers and all these controversial ideas, it would make you think that this is a mainstream problem, like everybody's going through this right now. Is that really a reality? I don't think so.
It's not. And it truly demonstrates the almost troubling power of the media when you think about it. And that is that they have the power to basically dictate what people focus on and what people care about.
Right.
I mean, if the media started chanting today that all types of oak wood were bad, I guarantee that in 10 years we would have made oak wood illegal.
But it's not just the media alone, right? It's basically the media combined with leftist corporations, the leftist Hollywood, and basically...
I think you're bringing up a good point, and that is that the left in general is just become one giant inseparable entity, whether that is through the Democratic Party, through the woke college campuses, through corporations, and through the media. It is all one giant cesspool of incest.
Yeah. When I read a lot about this, right, when I read about the leftist media and the issues that they're portraying, and it just surprises me because I'll be honest with you, right, maybe gender theory is the burning topic in the minds of all American youth today. It honestly is not a burning topic in the minds of, the Asians, the Chinese, Indians, Japanese, Are you talking
about the people that outrank us in math, science, and virtually every other school subject?
Precisely. It's like, the focus of the youth there is about how do we innovate and how are we going to make a difference in, the economy? How are we going to make a better life for ourselves? How are we going to, strengthen the community? These are not the issues that are plaguing them. And because I feel like the leftist media, and especially leftist Hollywood, is sort of pushing these issues, these non-issues on people, I think it starkly reminds me of history. Now I read a lot of historical, books. And one thing that is very common, if you look at any kind of monarchy, any kind of dictatorship, any place where one set of people have power, it is how do we keep their populace dumb and stupid so that they do not realize that they're being exploited and their rights are being infringed upon. Now, I know, like the left would like to portray that they're the ones who are standing up for the victims and they are the ones who are standing up for equality. But I think that's part of their plan, right?
I think that part of their plan is to convince people that they are the party of equal rights and they are the party of equality and they are the party of libertarianism. And if you just examine any of their policies for 5 minutes, you'll immediately realize, oh, wait, that's not true. That's why it's so easy to red pill. It's rather difficult to blue pill. Now, it is a bit of a problem that these non-issues are at the top of America's mind. But I think the bigger problem is who decided that they would be at the top of America's mind. Because it wasn't Americans. Rather, it was the Democratic Party. It was woke Hollywood. It was woke media. It was woke corporations, woke universities, and so on. No individual American 5 years ago would have told you that we needed to be teaching third graders that boys can be girls and girls can be boys. No person 5 years ago would have told you that the solution to a better tomorrow was teaching a kindergartner that they're racist when they can't spell the word racist. No one would have thought that 5 years ago because 5 years ago, the media wasn't spouting it. 5 years ago, Hollywood wasn't spouting it. But now that they are, it's at the top of America's mind. Honestly, it's exactly what you said. It's a monarchy. It's all about pulling the covers over America's eyes as long as they can continue to keep you in the dark, as long as they can continue to thrust the theme of victimhood on you and continue to blame it on the bad, bad Republicans and the bad, bad big corporations.
Or anybody who is affluent, making money, is rich because they have a job. I mean, as long as they can blame it on anybody, they'll make out.
It's a scapegoat.
Yeah.
It's all about scapegoating whoever they can to keep you focused on it. As long as you stay focused on this big shiny object over here, I can go commit a heist and you wouldn't know a thing. And similarly, Democrats are using that blindsidedness of the American people by keeping you honed in on that shiny, shiny object to abuse you every single day with their policies.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, I think this is exactly how monarchs and dictators and, kings and queens worked in the past. Let them eat cake. They just wanted you to stay dumb and poor because as long as you were dependent on them, they keep their power. They have the solution to your problems, but they won't really give you a solution. It's pretty classic, right? Like you can go back and look in history like centuries and centuries ago. It's the same thing with the leftist media and leftist Hollywood today. That's what they're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, have you seen the Oscars and how many headlines have emanated from it? And I mean, sure, some entertaining stuff definitely happened at the Oscars, but I don't think that it deserves front page news 7 days after the fact.
So, Ishaan, you're very right to bring up the Oscars. I mean, you can take any award shows, but since Oscars were recent, let's just talk about that. I mean, even the jokes the comedians had were still focusing on some woke issue or the other. Honestly, I wish they would focus on something which was more relevant or even more worthy.
Absolutely. For example, the intro was done by Regina Hall, Wanda Sykes, and Amy Schumer. And Schumer just goes on, making this joke about the pay gap and how it apparently it penetrates into Hollywood. And apparently it's cheaper to hire 3 women over 1 man. Yeah, check this out.
This year, the Academy hired 3 women to host because it's cheaper than hiring 1 man. It's fun, right?
Oh my God. What is that girl doing in that video, by the way? She's like, oh yes, you are so right. As if this isn't complete. She snapped too. What was that? This is a completely ridiculous argument even for a joke. Even the 85 cents figure doesn't back up that large of a disparity. Also, let's be honest. It's about equal pay for equal work.
And equal value, yeah. Or equal value, right? Like exactly. What you bring to the table.
Exactly. Like, do you remember back when Amy Schumer did her Netflix special?
Right, yeah.
She actually renegotiated with Netflix after finding out, and she was offended, that Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock were each paid $20 million for their Netflix specials. So she should be paid the same. But here's the problem. There's a simple difference between Amy Schumer and Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock. They're funny. Amy Schumer isn't. And I say this partially in jest, but to some extent I'm serious. I mean, Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock have been performing to sold-out arenas for decades. Schumer's most difficult feat was a Tampax commercial.
Very true. I mean, even the proponents of equality in gender pay are not talking about simply pay because of gender. They're simply talking about equal pay for equal work, equal value, equal experience. So basically when other things are same. So this joke just falls flat. But it goes back to the same thing. No, you can't take two steps watching anything with the Hollywood elite where they're not, on their soapbox about some woke issue or another.
Right, and it all comes back to blame. You remember we were talking about like the scapegoating. The other joke, well, one of the other jokes that were absolutely terrible and truly propagandized from the Oscars had to do with the Senate minority leader. I can't make this up.
This year we saw a frightening display of how toxic masculinity turns into cruelty towards women and children.
Damn that Mitch McConnell.
Really? They want to pick on the Senate minority leader. Nancy Pelosi's eyebrows are levitating. Joe Biden is sniffing glue and Kamala Harris can't even string sentences together. It's not like there is a shortage of legitimate politicians in power who need some poking fun of. But no, let's make fun of the bad Republican minority leader.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, and it's the same thing with, Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. That's not even what the bill says. But please don't let that, stop the media or Hollywood from making it out to be something it's not.
Absolutely, and they did that at the Oscars too. Check this out.
We're going to have a great night tonight, and for you people in Florida, we're going to have a gay night. Gay.
What are these people clapping for? You can say the word gay in Florida without a SWAT team rappelling from the roof and the FBI breaking in through the windows. None of that is in the bill.
Yeah, I think, again, it's just miseducation. They don't understand what the bill is.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. They understand what the bill is. They know what the bill is. They need to convince you that that's what the bill says.
So I agree in part. I think that a lot of the folks who are laughing and clapping in the audience haven't really read the bill. They've just heard the same propaganda from the mouths of the same leftist elites, and that's what they're echoing, and then they're feeling glad, feeling good about themselves about. But I agree, right? Like, I think a majority of them haven't read the bill, and in any case, that's not what the bill's about.
No, exactly. And by the way, this is not just the Oscars. This is not like a cherry-picked event. No, this was echoed by Raven Simone, for example. She went on USA Today and talked about this.
I'm going to say this, and this is my thing. If there's a don't say gay bill, there should be a don't say straight bill. Because it's not fair, and there are multiple kinds of humans in this world, and you are ruining the psyche, the confidence of so many young children because you are discrediting their parents, the people they love, the people that raise them, the people that teach them the manners when they walk into that schoolroom. So if you're not going to honor their family, your family shouldn't be honored either. So let's just make it even/equal, maybe.
I'm really confused. Did she even read the bill? Did I hear her say they're not honoring their parents? Like, again, this bill is designed to not alienate the parents.
Well, look, you're absolutely right. Either she has read the bill and she is being intentionally deceptive, or, and I think, I honestly don't even know which one it is.
I do.
Well, maybe you do. I don't. Or she has not read the bill and she's just being pretty stupid because, what did she say? There should be a don't say straight bill. Well, there is a don't say straight bill.
It's the same one.
It's the same bill.
Yeah.
It is the same bill because the bill does not say the word gay once. And while that is a poor talking point in and of itself, what I'm trying to say is it does not discern between gay and straight. It just says, this is not a conversation that should happen for kindergartners through third graders. And if you think that it is, I think that you need to see a therapist.
That's exactly it, right? I don't think people are getting this, right? Again, the whole leftist media that is twisting this out of proportion, all they're saying is do not talk about sex education with children before they're in fourth grade. Why is that so unreasonable?
Oh, because as you know, of course, the rampancy of third grade pregnancies in the state of Florida is... By the way, that's not even the name of the bill. The name of the bill is not the Don't Say Gay bill. That's not what passed in Florida. It's called the Florida Parental Rights in Education bill. Don't believe me? Why don't we talk about what's inside of the bill? Hear this one. Let's not teach sex ed to students in kindergarten through 3rd grade. Ooh, super controversial, I know. Argue to me that we should. I dare you. Argue to me that we should teach kindergartners through 3rd grade sex ed. Argue to me that after 3rd grade, we shouldn't teach sex ed in accordance with state standards. Argue to me that when a student attempts suicide at school, we shouldn't inform the parents. Argue to me that when a student receives therapy or health care at school, that the parents have no business knowing about it without the written consent of the child. Because that's all that's in the bill. The only way you can attack the bill is by lying about it, and that is exactly what woke media and woke Hollywood do. Lie about it.
And by the way, let's not forget the woke corporations. Disney being the prime example, they were the first to speak out against the bill that you were just referencing.
Right, and actually they weren't going to initially, and then after pressure from their employees, they caved to the woke mob and they spoke out against this bill, which, by the way, 55% of Democrats actually support this bill. They still spoke out against it just to pander to the far left faction.
Yeah.
And then we got this leaked video from a hands-on meeting of the executives at Disney talking about how they are injecting queerness and transgenderism into children's programming. This is honestly pretty sick to watch.
Many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters.
On my little pocket of proud family Disney TVA, our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background, I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud family. But I just was no one would stop me and no one was trying to stop me.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of working with the Moon Girl team for the last 2 years, and they've been really open to exploring queer stories. And so I put together a tracker of our background characters to make sure that we have the full breadth of expression. And we got into a very similar conversation, Carrie, of oh, all of our gender nonconforming characters are in the background.
So a bizarre thing there was why do they have a tracker to see which characters are straight and which characters are gay? I mean, why do they have to be so deliberate about something as simple and wholesome as children's programming?
Honestly, what struck me was when she was talking about having gay characters kissing in the background and all this. Why are characters kissing for programming meant for people under the age of 5?
Right. I mean, why are they trying to sexualize the children?
Honestly, I think that Governor Greg Abbott might have actually been right when he called people like these groomers.
Yeah, I mean, it seems bizarre to me. And especially when you're talking about an all hands-on exec meeting, there should be more important things that they talk about rather than, how do we make sure that we're injecting enough LGBTQ, XXYY, whatever, content into our programming. It's just bizarre to me.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, have you seen that meme about Disney Channel and how they were just chasing this young boy? It was honestly really hilarious. Check this out. So the top of the meme says Disney be like, and then it says there's a girl and there's a boy there, and she's saying, "Little boy, have you explored your sexuality yet?" And it starts out already a little bit creepy, but okay. And then it goes on. He starts kind of walking away a little bit faster, stranger danger. By the way, that kid was raised well. That kid was, those parents did a good job. Disney kind of starts walking faster behind them. Wait, you might be gay. Let's talk about it. And then he starts getting really freaked out. He starts running away and he's like, "Stop, you're a girl trapped in a boy's body."
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't, this is such a perfect meme.
I mean, that's what it's coming to. That's what Disney programming is going to start meaning now.
Right. And, it's a real problem for parents. I mean, think about it. Can you imagine having to worry that your child is watching something inappropriate on Disney Junior?
Yeah, one thing I don't understand, the Democratic Party, why do they assume that the parents are not the right people to make a choice when to start talking about sex ed with their kids, what to educate them on, and why? And why do they always assume that, no, the parents are never going to tell them about this? Why?
Well, I think it stems from the core belief that the kids are not the parents. The kids, rather, are the governments. They are the communities. And we all have a stake in how your child gets No, you don't. It's your kid. You have the stake in how they get raised. At the end of the day, the government doesn't really care if a couple kids don't go to college, if a couple kids don't get jobs, if a couple kids are homeless, big deal.
A couple of kids suicide because of, all the mental confusion you've put them in. I mean, honestly, as a parent, I cannot imagine, being told that someone else knows better than me how to raise my kid. Now, you can give me resources, you can give me education. There is an appropriate time that is different for different children, as and when they mature, when they're ready for sexual education. And I think a parent should make that decision, and a school and other community, organizations should abide by that.
Right, and I definitely don't think that it's any business of corporate America.
Exactly.
This might be controversial. I don't know why it is. A corporation's sole job is to make money. They are there to detect where there is demand in a market, to fulfill that demand by being suppliers, and there is a monetary exchange, and that's it. Corporations are supposed to be apolitical. They're not meant to be, queer injecting.
Torchbearers of, morality.
Exactly. Their goal is literally to take children away from their parents, and I think that this is a huge miscalculation on the part of Disney, and I think that they're going to find themselves sort of in the same hot water that Twitter is now in, which we'll get to in a moment, and that is the kids are not the ones who are paying for your service. So if you want to get to the kids, you're going to have to go through the parents, and right now you're really pissing the parents off.
Yeah. My goodness. And we cannot move away from the topic of woke corporations without talking about Twitter. The self-anointed forebearers of, censors of free speech. They actually took a pretty strong stance about what could and couldn't be said on their platform. And it was a pretty arbitrary, criteria.
No, I disagree. It wasn't arbitrary at all. Quite simply, if it is what the leftists are talking about, totally good. If it's what the right wing is talking about, get that out of here, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so what did they see, right? Over the last several years, their user base has been declining. Their popularity has been declining. Of course, there was not a whole lot of other options. But even so, Instagram has been picking up, and now there's Truth Social. And what is the reason for this? Again, when you inject wokeness instead of actually what you were talking about, like, the business of a corporation, to be in the business of providing a service to the people without having, personal political beliefs thrown into the mix.
Right. Elon Musk purchased more than 9% of Twitter, making him the single largest shareholder and sending their stock value up 24%.
Yeah.
I believe now he sits on the board of directors, correct?
Yeah, he's joining their board.
And what he said was, my primary issue is going to be free speech on Twitter. And that is great. Great for libertarians, great for Republicans, who finally have someone standing up for them on that board, because it certainly was not the last CEO. It certainly is not the current one.
No, definitely.
You'd think maybe, is this a short, slow news cycle, something like that? No, there's no shortage of legitimate issues. Of course, now we don't know how this turns out. Tell us in the future, did Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson get confirmed to the Supreme Court? We
probably.
We predict probably.
Yeah.
Yes. But if she's appointed, she will replace Justice Breyer's seat, and she's Biden's nominee. So it won't change the 6-3 balance.
Yeah.
On the court.
Even this nomination was pretty heavily, debated, though, right? She went through a pretty grueling.
Exactly. And I'm curious, how come no one's talking about this? Even Republicans, by the way, they're failing to talk about what I thought was the biggest issue with Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, they did talk a lot, if you don't know, about how she ignored sentencing guidelines in child pornography cases, which we'll get to. My big thing was she ignored federal sentencing guidelines. It's one thing to just voice an opinion about child pornographers. It's another to ignore the law, to ignore the will of Congress. That's disrespecting the Constitution, and that's not something that I want to see in a Supreme Court justice. Sue me for saying that, right? But again, this has nothing to do with her being a liberal. This doesn't change the majority on the court of conservatives. This isn't altering that. This is just me saying, like, there should be a baseline for Supreme Court justices that, like, no, you at least respect the law. Yeah. You're not just like, no, I don't like it, so I'll ignore it.
Or it doesn't align with my personal political beliefs.
Right. But also, I think it's also an issue of morality. She, unfortunately, defended child pornographers. It's hard to even justify this. Check this out.
The internet. On the internet, with one click, you can receive, you can distribute tens of thousands. You can be doing this for 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, you are looking at 30, 40, 50 years in prison.
Good. Good.
I understand.
Absolutely
Senator,
good. I hope you are. Good.
Allow her to finish, please.
I hope you go to jail for 50 years if you're on the internet trolling for images of children and sexual exploitation. So you don't think that's a bad thing? I think that's a horrible thing.
You see right there, she's actually trying to justify it. She's like, look, with the internet, the sentencing guidelines are too harsh. You can be seeing it, you distribute it. And Senator Lindsey Graham, he's just like, no. Good. Go to jail. 50 years, life sentence. I don't care. You are sexually interested in children. You have no place in mainstream society. And he's absolutely right. Children, by the way, they don't have the ability to reciprocate that kind of sexual affection. That's why we have laws against pedophilia. That's a thing. Because it cannot possibly be consensual. So if you are actually trolling the internet for images of children, like naked, being abused sexually, I hope you go to jail for 50 years. But even then, my biggest problem is not even her opinion. Because sure, you can tell me that the sky is green, whatever. But you don't get to ignore the law. You can't say, I don't like the law and therefore I won't enforce the law, because that's not your job as a justice.
Yeah. I mean, basically, what we heard her say is, what they did is not as reprehensible as some of the other child abusers and, perpetrators of child pornography, because they were just merely viewing it or distributing it. They weren't actually, creating that content. And therefore, the law should be simpler for them, except that they're not.
Right. Again, now she was actually part of the Sentencing Commission when they wrote to Congress saying, please revise this. But again, fine. You're allowed as a judge to voice your opinion or concern about a law and request Congress to change it. You do not have the authority to simply disregard the law because you don't like it.
Yeah. I agree with you.
No, but again, this is something that the media, I think, should talk about. And this, unfortunately, this one isn't even fixed on the Republican side either. They all focused on, look at her defending child pornographers. That's one thing. That's irrelevant to the scope of her job as a justice. What is relevant is her disrespect for the Constitution. But my biggest problem is that the media would rather glorify Amy Schumer spouting nonsense on the Academy floor than talk about this. And by the way, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, this is one news story. I'm not saying that this is the only one. No, by no means, right? I mean,
there's a war going on.
There's another. There's a war on the other side of the world. And Pallavi, you tell me, do you think that Biden is doing a good job trying to take care of this?
Okay, the most hilarious thing I saw last week was when his page got overturned to the press, and in 18-point font, he had talking points about Russia. And one of them literally said something like, this is bad.
Right. No, the title was Tough Putin Q&A Talk. He needed to be reminded that Putin was the bad guy. Again, he still thinks that he's running for the United States Senate. He still thinks that we're in 1970. He thinks that he's still getting along with Aaron Burr.
I can't even make this up. I mean, that was just so funny But
Pallavi, you know why they did that, right? Do you know what happened?
No.
Okay, so that was the fourth day. First, they let him fail 3 times. It was 3 strikes and you're out for him. Okay, they let him fail 3 times where this was separate. This wasn't even one speech where he was just out of it. He was tired. No, 3 separate speeches, 3 separate days when he said something, each of which could have caused a World War III. I'm not joking. These type of grave errors. Screw up number 1, when Biden threatened to use chemical weapons on Russia? Take a look.
If chemical weapons were used in Ukraine, would that trigger a military response from NATO?
It would trigger a response in kind. Whether or not you're asking whether NATO would cross, we'd make that decision at the time.
Okay, grab a dictionary for this man. In kind means equal and opposite. So he's pretty much just stating the Newton's law.
Yeah, right. He literally just threatened to use chemical weapons on Russia. By the way, even if the White House walked that back successfully, which they sort of did, sort of didn't, it's still a propaganda win for Putin, because he can take that and be like, look, they're going to use chemical weapons on us. You see, they're the war criminals, not us.
Yeah. I mean, we can't even blame the global media from taking this and running with it. And we can't even say like, hey, you're misquoting him. No, they're exactly quoting him.
Exactly. Exactly. You can't even say they're lying. You're like, well, no, he did say that.
I'm starting to feel sorry for Biden's, press staff.
Oh, yeah. Poor Jen Psaki. No one, by the way, she's courting an offer from MSNBC, and no surprise why. She's like, I can't do this anymore. She has gray hairs now. She's so stressed. Poor thing. Oh, God. But screw up number 2. Okay, we're moving on. There's just too much to get through. When Biden said that we were going to send troops to Ukraine?
What?
You're going to see when you're there, and some of you have been there, you're going to see women, young people stand in the middle in front of a damn tank, just saying, I'm not leaving.
You're going to see people standing on the tank and you're going to see it. Pallavi, if I tell you that when you're in Bora Bora, you're going to see sea turtles, am I implying that you're going to Bora Bora?
If you're my boss, you are.
Yeah, if you're the president of the United States talking to the army, I think that you're implying that they're going to be going there when you tell them what they will see in Ukraine. Again, just a major escalatory statement, and at the very least, a propaganda win for Putin. Something that he could use to justify. Again, remember how Jen Psaki at the beginning of this war was saying Putin has been faking threats to justify further aggression. Well, he doesn't even have to fake them anymore. I mean, even if he thinks that they're not real, he doesn't have to fake them anymore. He can just, put this out there and say, see, he said it.
Based on what I heard the president say, yeah.
Yeah, you're giving him plausible deniability, but this is not the biggest one. The biggest one, this is like, you just can't walk this one back. When Joe Biden said that he was going to dethrone President Vladimir Putin.
A different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principles, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
So we're taking actions to dethrone him then, is what he's saying.
I mean, look, you and I, we can say that. We can say, God's sakes, this man cannot remain in power. Because there's a notable difference between us and the president of the United States, and that is, of course, that he is the president of the United States. When he says something like this, he's articulating a change in policy, which is why on this cue card, which he revealed to reporters, as you can see, it clearly says what to say about how to walk this back. It says, I was expressing the moral outrage I felt at this man. And then right below that, it says, I was not articulating a change in policy. Joe Biden was instructed by his press team to walk back everything he just said. And he needed it in giant 18-point font right in front of him to be able to do it. And by the way, he still screwed up. He still failed to actually walk it back. 3 separate occasions. Convince me that any one of these could not have been used by Vladimir Putin to actually escalate to an all-out war, and he can say, look, they threatened me first.
Yeah.
Or
spread misinformation through global media.
Exactly.
Because, not everybody is like native English speaking. They do not understand tone. They don't understand that, was there sarcasm involved or was this casual? They're taking your words literally.
Even so. No, even if it was sarcastic, it's expected that the president of the United States will stick to the script for that reason, because anything that they can say can just be read in a transcript.
Exactly. I completely agree.
But no, the rules don't apply to him because he's a Democrat. I imagine that Donald Trump said this. Can you even like comprehend how wild the media would be spinning right now? Oh my gosh. They would be going after him with a blowtorch.
Yeah.
How dare he? He's going to be the death of our nation. He's a danger to the republic. But no, if it's Joe Biden, the cute old man getting ice cream with kids, then it's totally fine. Why? Because he's a Democrat, and Democrats are in bed with the media and Hollywood and universities and corporations and everybody else. Everyone just covers up for each other so that it's one big cesspool of corruption.
But a dumb voter base makes for more Democratic candidates.
Is it really a democracy if the people who are voting don't have the capacity to understand what they're voting on?
Hey folks, Pallavi here. Thanks for watching this episode of Politics Corner. If you enjoyed this video, please like and comment. And if you want to see more videos like it, subscribe and click the notification bell so you know whenever Pegasus Brave releases a new video. Also, if you want to see more of our daily content, follow us on social media. Links in the description. We'll see you next time. Bye.